The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to the Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Lowe's Moore and the Blueprint. Man, I'm really excited about this week. I say this, every week. I get excited because, when you get ready to do a show and you have another person that you're going to interview, you just don't invite them on and say, okay, well, I'll see you next week. I mean, you got to do research. You got to find a little bit out about the person and, who they are. You just don't bring somebody on and just try to figure it out. So each week, man, there's like a lot of work that goes into the preparation of this. And so I get excited every week because it's a buildup. And I couldn't believe, we celebrated last week. We celebrated, our 1 year anniversary last week, man. It was literally awesome. I thank you guys for all the comments. Thank you for all the support for the entire year. I want to say thank you. I hope that the Blueprint has been a blessing. We're looking forward. We're trying to be creative, and we're looking forward to this second season of the Blueprint. And we're looking forward to coming up with some new innovative ideas and great guests, to interview. And so I just can't believe 52 weeks went by that fast. And so, again, I want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for all your love. Man, you guys have absolutely been awesome, and I appreciate it. And like I do every week, here's my pebble. This is my pebble. It's a little ball. This is my pebble I'm going to drop in the pond, right? We're expecting the ripple effect from each show, whether it, you know how a ripple goes. It starts off little and it just keeps going and going and going. You never know what impact that a person that I'm interviewing or something that's said on the Blueprint that will impact somebody, and I thank you that, there'll be individuals who view the show right now live, and then there will be individuals as you go along, you will see it and you tune in later on and you view the show. And I want to just say thank you, man, for taking the time, because it's like an hour and a half to look at the show. I think that's the best, for me, that's the best thing right now. To get a full interview and get to really know people, even though I think, some people might think that an hour and a half is a long time, but for us, man, once we get started, man, it is flowing. And next thing you know, I got more questions and I want to hear more from the person that I'm interviewing, but the time is up. And so again, thank you. I'm really enjoying it. And let me say this to you. For all those who are out there, during the midst of this pandemic, as we come out of this and we're thinking about our future, find something you love to do. And I heard it said so many times, if you find something you love to do, you never will work a day in your life. And my 27 years at the Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon, it was something I loved to do, something that I was passionate about, something that I was dedicated to. And it felt like I never worked a day in my life. And it was something that I wanted to get up every single day. If you can find something that you don't mind getting up every single day, that you want to fight for, that you want to work for, that you want to be excellent for, right? Find that niche, right? And then just jump right in it and just dedicate yourself to it. And so I want to get started, with the book of the week. It's called Millennial Revealed, right? And it's the seven biggest millennial expectations expect expectations of themselves and your organization. I mean, you can see that my good friend Drew Pettigrew, man, true Pettigrew. He's one of my brothers in the King movement. He's awesome. Look him up online, man. He's doing some amazing stuff across the country, especially in the midst of this social justice issues and stuff like that, dealing with diversity and all the things that are happening out there, dealing with law enforcement. Man, if you need a speaker, somebody to come on and do some training, hey, call up True. Yeah, man, he is an awesome young man. And man, during the pandemic, man, I look forward to every morning. He used to get up with his son. He called the Young Prince. The Young Prince used to get up with him early in the morning, wiping those eyes every morning, and up there with his father as he prayed every morning and throughout the pandemic. And so, True, I send you my love, man. And that is the book of the week. And now we have the word of the week. The word of the week is, I mentioned it earlier, I don't know if you catch it, dedication. You know, how important it is to dedicate yourself to something, right? Find a cause, find a purpose, and dedicate yourself to it. I don't know any other way to be successful, man, than to be dedicated. I don't think you can be successful without being dedicated or have some dedication to it. And as you could see, Hill Harper and Pierce Harper, affirmation and quote moment. And you could see that word dedication again. And it's something that here, you know, each week I give you an affirmation or a quote, something that you can wake up to and you can grab and grasp and you can say to yourself. Sometimes you're not crazy. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. There's so much craziness on the television when you wake up in the morning, right? And you hear so many negative things, man. You know, I got to turn around and say to myself, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, you know, and that I have gifts and purposes that come from God. And I have an assignment for those things. And I got to keep telling myself I am a king, right? And I just got to speak to myself. And so this affirmation says, I make a daily choice that aligns with my vision for my life. So there has to be a vision, right? And so you have to align your choices with that vision, right? Because like I said, you wake up in the morning and everything is out there trying to keep you from your vision and confuse you and stop you short of your vision. But no, you say to yourself, I align my thoughts up with my vision. This is what I want to do. And this is what I want to say. And this is what I want to be. And this is where I want to go. And nothing can stop me because I'm dedicated to it. And that's powerful. Right. And, you know, also, you know, I think I added to the show as second season. You know, you got the book of the week, the word of the week, and the affirmation of the week. And now we have, I love music and I love movies. I was really upset this year. My birthday was in May. And every year for my birthday, I'm in the movie theater. From the time that the movie theater opens up, right, I will go to a movie from 10 o'clock or whatever the movie opens up. And I will come home. I will see 5 or 6 movies. And I'll stay sometimes to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and watching movies. I am a big movie fan. And I love music. So I'm introducing our first two music and movie, you know, of the week. And so you see there, Jonathan McReynolds. I love this. I love his album called People. And I love the song People. Lord, deliver me from people. It's a great song. You should get that. And also Hacksaw Ridge is one of my favorite movies. And look, if you have a book, right? If you have a book this year and you're listening to the show, pop it at the bottom, a favorite book, because someone may see that book and want to read it. I've said since I started, you should have a library in your home, right? And having books in your home causes for you to combat illiteracy, right? When you start to read, and when you have a library in your home and build it, those are tools that help you to become successful, right? And so you've got to have books, right? And you've got to have affirmations, something that you could say to build yourself up. And so I'm excited. Um, you know, Jonathan McReynolds, right? Hacksaw Ridge, right? And this year, this new season for me in the Blueprint, man, I'm thinking about a new mindset and new results, right? I'm looking to get results, man. I'm not going to talk about it. My friends used to say back in the day, you need to be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. I got a new mindset. You can't bring no garbage to me, man. I'm past that. You can't cause for me, tell me about somebody or talk about somebody and have me accept it. No, I got a new mindset. I'm not a child anymore. I'm a grown person, and I got a new mindset, and I'm looking for some new results, and you should be looking for the same in your life. So I want to say, yeah, I'm excited about that. And also I want to say, hey, Griffo, what's up, man? How you doing? Man, it looks like it's been a long time. Well, coming up next week, right? It's Father's Day. We're gonna salute fathers. Man, I want to say Happy Father's Day in advance to all the fathers who are being fathers and in their home, taking care of their wives and taking care of their children. Man, I salute you. And so we're having a Father's Day special with Reggie Tuttle. And we have a special guest coming up that's going to pop on. We got Tony Burton. She's the daughter of Tiki Burton. You got to go back in the day, man, with Tiki Burton, who played with the New York Knicks from Albany, New York. Man, just a special guy. And she's going to come on and talk about her father. We're going to look at Pastor Tuttle's book, A Journey Through Grace. I'm excited about that. And then coming soon, right after that, coming soon, I'm going to have one of my teammates, right? And I'm going to have teammates who are going to pop on. But my teammate, when I was a freshman at West Virginia University, is Coach Bobby Huggins. He's going to be my guest, right? In the following week on June 27th, he's going to be my guest. And we're going to do a special tribute to my backcourt mate. We were teammates together as freshmen, Joe Frizz, and we're going to have a tribute to him from some of the players. Man, he passed away from ALS. And, a couple of years ago, man, just my brother, he was in my wedding, right? And when my kids came into the Pittsburgh area, he took care of all my kids. Hey, no questions asked, picked them up from the airport, just really took care of them, man. Just awesome. And I'm looking forward to that show. And then we're definitely going to have a 4th of July special. But on July the 11th, we have the gifted Milton Van that's going to be on the show. And then following him, I don't have no picture of him. He was just on last week. Steve Vaccaro and the Chapters Rap comes after Milton. And man, we're just looking forward to having some great shows coming up soon. And stay tuned for some awesome interviews and conversations. And so let's get right to it now. I got a couple. I want to show this video, right? I'm going to show you a video, and I'm going to show you 2 videos, right? And let's show it's by Dr. Miles Monroe. I love Dr. Miles Monroe. We're going to look at this on Dr. Miles Monroe, and then we're going to show a little video on our guest this evening, and then we're going to jump right into the conversation.
I was asked a question years ago. The question was, how do you become successful? My answer goes like this. You might want to write this down. If you want to be a success, do not seek success. Seek to become a person of value. That's it. I repeat, if you want to be a success, do not seek success. Seek to become a person of value. How do you become a person of value? Simple. Refine your gift to the point where the world needs it. I think any of you who studied economics knows this, that money follows value. Wealth follows what? Value. So don't go after money, just become valuable. They'll find you. So you got to develop yourself and refine your gift so well that they come look for you and they pay you to be yourself.
Wow. Just want to show a little bit of highlights of my guest this evening. I was trying to find some sound. Maybe I should have asked him if he had some highlights of himself. But Tyrae Woodson-Samuels, county legislator here in New York, Westchester, New York. He's my guest this evening, and I'm excited to have him on the show. Excited to have this conversation, man. Welcome, Tyrae.
Thank you so much, big brother. You just brought it back, way back for me. I haven't seen that video in literally a decade. So,
man, get out of here. You like 28 years old, man.
Yeah. I mean, I had it for my senior year, to pitch to colleges and stuff like that. So literally since then, I haven't. How's my audio? Is it am I coming through?
Yeah, it's going a little bit in and out, but we'll work through it.
Okay.
We definitely will work.
All right.
So hey, so talk to me a little bit about, growing up, mom and dad, siblings, talk to me a little bit about that. And in these categories, talk about the importance of family, right? The importance of education, the process of education, and the importance of faith.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me on. And, just growing up in the city of Mount Vernon, I grew up on the south side of the city in Ebony Gardens. I was in a single parent household. My mother was the leader, I would say, in raising me. But we had a village. My father was still in my life. My grandparents also played a role. But that clip you just showed, it's funny because my mom is a huge sports fan and connoisseur of sports. So she was kind of the one pushing me at a very young age. I'm a Mount Vernon Razorback. I tried to play a little basketball like you. I wasn't too good at basketball, but I tried my best. Played at, Brush Park, Little League Baseball and whatnot. So sports was a very, very big part of my upbringing. And a lot of those intangibles that you learn in sports, I think, are transferable to professional life, teamwork, hard work, dedication, uh, battling through adversity, competing, and getting the job done. So I want to thank her for putting me in a position to be successful from a very young age. So, Mom, if you're watching, love you. Thank you so much. But yeah, my father, a little bit about him. He is actually an immigrant from Jamaica. So again, he and my mom split when I was younger, but he still played a pivotal role in my life. My father is one of the smartest people, if not the smartest person I know. And so he was the one teaching me about Marcus Garvey and, Dr. Claude Anderson and the importance of being proud of your heritage and proud and being a confident, strong Black man in this country, because we know we have so many things lined up against us as obstacles that he said, if you don't believe in yourself, no one will believe in you, son. So, long story short, I want to thank my family for providing me the foundation to be a county legislator, to be a football player, and to just be here today. So, that's my opening there. And family is everything, so thank you so much.
And yeah, and I played that. I thought about very clearly as something, a video I wanted to play with your highlight, as because I see you as a person of value. So that that was for you.
That's right. And that's and it hit right on the money. I mean, I'm somebody who really subscribes to self-development as well. The Zig Ziglars, the Les Browns, right? The Tony Robbins, the Gary V's, all of these people leaves clues. And so again, it's transferable to any industry you're in. Whether that industry is politics, whether it's in athletics or anything. So I appreciate you playing that for me.
Yeah. And, talk to me a little bit about education, man, the whole process. And then let me say, before you talk about education, I was having a conversation with a young man named Andre. I'm known Andre for good friends with my daughter, Sherelle. For a lot of years when he was in high school, acting and singing and doing all those different things. And he was over at the house and he was talking about history, right? So when you say Ebony Gardens, I was having a conversation because I lived in the projects. I lived in Leicester Tower. I lived at 70 West 3rd Street.
Block.
Yeah, right, right across. So and I was talking to him about what was on those blocks before Ebony Garden. Like the cleaners, the supermarket, the pharmacy, local businesses, stores out there before it became Ebony Gardens, man. So we were just having like a little history, and you said Ebony Gardens. I said, oh man, and I was telling them how 8th Avenue was an avenue. It was a street you could go up. Wow.
That's way back. That's news to me. You learn something new every day. So I appreciate that nugget. I had no clue.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about education, man, and your process.
I think education is extremely important, right? I went to, starting in Mount Vernon, I went to Nellie Thornton, then Pennington Grimes, where I still have some of the same friends from those days in my life to this day. Middle school, I went to Mount St. Michael, right there in the Bronx, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Iona Prep High School in New Rochelle, and then I attended the illustrious Hampton University. I call it the real HU. Some of my Howard folks may not appreciate that, but it's all good. It's a little rivalry we got. But and then I came back and I also got my professional education as well as a real estate agent licensed in the state of New York. I thought that was extremely important as well. But I'm somebody who pushes education in the normal sense. Obviously, go get the degree, get your high school diploma, et cetera, But I'm somebody that believes that education is a lifelong journey. And I'm someone who's autodidactic. So sure, I can read a textbook, I can have a professor teach me something, but sometimes I feel I'm very hands-on with something. And so I like to put in the overtime and go over the information myself and teach things myself to myself to become the best version of myself. So I think in terms of education, it's not just school. And this is something I tell young people, especially student athletes. It doesn't stop when you're out the classroom. You should be reading some of the great books that you mentioned on this show, some of the books in your niche.
Mhm.
You need to be proficient in your field. And so you do that by
Thank you.
more personable, more valuable. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's important. I mean, and you okay? You got to give me that word again. I'm gonna have to make that one of my words.
So the word is autodidactic. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to get a little definition on that one right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah,
Use that word. So
yeah, self-taught. You try to teach yourself, try to learn something new every day. Look, I grew up in Ebony Gardens. I had no clue that all of that was there before. So what I'm going to do now is after we finish up this show, I'm going to go do some research and learn a little bit more about those businesses. That's extremely cool to know.
yeah, and another book I didn't bring it on yet. I haven't popped it on yet, but Dr. Sproul, Dr. Larry Sproul, back in the day, I think he taught African American studies at Mount Vernon High School, and he was the African American study director for the school district,
Yep.
and he has a couple of books out on the history of Mount Vernon.
Yes,
And
sir.
literally, I found the picture. I downloaded it. I've had the book, the physical copy of the books. And I think it's important to know. There's two things I think is important. Number one, in order, besides education, all things that we're talking about, but number one is to be God conscious.
Absolutely.
Right, because that's where your moral fiber, your character comes into play, and then to be history conscious, to know where you've been, so you know where you are, and then you know where you're going.
Yes, sir.
You have no idea where you're going, and so I think that was important. It was important that a young man came over, Andre came over, and he was just talking about the whole history of Mount Vernon. Did you know this? Did you know that? And we were having a conversation, not about sports, not about women, right? But we were having a real conversation about, and I didn't know he was a history buff. So that was very, very important for me too. So, so God conscious and having faith. How important is that to you?
It's extremely important. That is the foundation of everything. I grew up in a church, so I used to go to church from 7 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m. every Sunday growing up. We used to do Bible study and then all three services, and then I would try to get a little lunch in between. But I think, as aforementioned, everything starts with faith. Out here in the United States of America, again, as a person of color, as someone who's in politics specifically, you need faith to deal with all of the obstacles, all of the turmoil that you're going to come across. And there are going to be days that you may want to quit, and you're going to have to.
Yeah, we're working with some audio problems.
The opportunity to attend Catholic schools where we didn't just learn about Catholicism, we learned about Christianity, other faiths, studied a few of the good books, but I'm a Christian and I definitely subscribe to the Bible. And what I can tell you is some of the darkest periods of my time in my life, If if I didn't have my faith, I don't know if I would be sitting here before you as the county legislator. I'll just be honest with you, and I'm sure you can attest to the same thing, right? We had deaths in the family, especially like this last 12 months. I've lost family members, um, and I tell you, if it wasn't for my family, if it wasn't for the faith instilled in me at a young age, I don't know where I would be. So that's my answer there. I think I encourage, especially a lot of the young people too. We're kind of getting away from the church and getting away from uh, uh, faith systems, but I think we need to look at that a little closer and really invest and reevaluate how we can become better followers of Christ and of God, because that translates to a better community overall.
Yeah, awesome. And I agree with you. I agree with you there. And one of the things I was thinking about, in terms of, and I talked to some of the individuals I interview, right, and talk about finding a niche, right, and how did this, going through the sports, going through school, I mean, and then how did you find this niche, right? How did you come into, and what was your desire coming out of high school in terms of what you would do in your future? What was it to get into politics? Because this is one of my spheres of influence.
Right,
Right.
right. So about niches, I have a pretty cool quote. It's niches bring riches. So if we're in business and you focus on a niche or a particular area, you stay in your lane, you burn rubber, you become, I would say, a leader in your field. The sky is the limit. So I always tell folks that niches bring riches. But as far as politics goes, I've always had an inclining to go into politics, to go into public service more so. I actually found out last year that my great grandfather in Jamaica was a political organizer.
Mm.
So it's a little hereditary. It's in my blood. And I just found that interesting when my grandfather, who's from Jamaica, told me that. He's like, my father was in politics and whatnot. So it was interesting. But the reason being that I really dove headfirst was I'm from the south side of Mount Vernon. I'm from Ebony Gardens, and I had an opportunity to go to an Iona Prep, a school in New Rochelle. Kids that I went to school with were from Scarsdale's, from the Rise, from the Mamaronecks, right, from the other side of the tracks, metaphorically speaking. And some of my teammates, we would go over there, the houses, play video games and whatnot, hang out. And I would see their name, certain questions like, well, why is it so? Why are my streets dirty and their streets are squeaky clean?
So
Why
do me a
is
favor.
their environment?
I'm going to cut you off because you froze a little bit. So start back over with going over to your friend's house and work from there.
Yeah. So long story short, some of my friends came from very affluent areas in the county of Westchester, and so I had an opportunity. They say the grass is greener on the other side. I literally got on the other side, saw the grass up close, and then I would come home to my 2-bedroom apartment on the south side of Mount Vernon and look at my community and say, it's a major difference here. Who's responsible for the upkeep and maintenance and transformation of cities? And so I started to learn about elected officials and the different levels of government. You have county, you have city, you have federal, you have state, you have a council person, you have a mayor, you have a judicial branch. And so I started to really let my interest in my inquisitiveness lead me towards government or politics and public service. And so I actually ran for office for the first time as a senior in high school. I came in third, so I didn't get off to a good start, right? but I still ran, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. It was my first dive into politics, but that stayed with me. And then, like I said before, I had the opportunity to go to an HBCU, a historically black college and university, in Hampton University. And so when you go in these type of environments, the social activism is through the roof. Everyone is extremely politically conscious. Everyone is involved in different social clubs and fraternities, sororities, food pantries, all types of things. And so this kind of took my game to the next level. And so I started to volunteer. I actually worked on Barack Obama's re-election campaign when he ran against Mitt Romney in Virginia. And Virginia is a swing state, so it was a very thorough campaign effort, and obviously we were victorious. And so coming back to Mount Vernon now, my city was still in shambles, in my opinion. And so I thought, if not us, then who? I can't sit here and point the finger at other people if I'm not willing to step up myself and pay and sweat equity and pay in time and energy to turn my city around, right? So people always get caught up in the age, 28 this, 28 that. Listen, I'm not saying I have all the answers or I have the most experience, but I'm willing to do the work and I'm willing to show up. And one of my favorite politicians actually once said, people pay attention to people that participate. People pay attention to people that participate. And so I started participating. And so the first official campaign I participated in was in 2013, I believe, 2012, 2013, for Noam Bramson. Noam Bramson is the current mayor of New Rochelle. At that time, he was seeking to become the county executive of Westchester. And so he ran against Rob Astorino. He wasn't successful, but again, I got to see up close what it was like to run a countywide campaign at 20 something, very young 20s. So it was a huge learning experience for me. I met a lot of friends on the campaign trail, and that's actually how I got to meet the congressman who I eventually worked for, Congressman Elliot L. Engel.
Yes.
Who was our former congressman. So do you want me to dive into that, or?
Yeah, I want you to dive in there, definitely.
Absolutely. So I met a few people on the campaign trail working for Noam. And so the congressman had an opening in his office. And I guess I made such an impression on him out campaigning for Noam that he said, can you track down that kid from Mount Vernon with the funny name and the big ears? We need him on staff, right? And so a few phone calls were made. And after 2 interviews, I was selected to be his next staff assistant. And from there, after 5 years and some change, I elevated to the level of Deputy Director of Constituent Services. Now, here is where I really fell in love with government and delivering for people. Because in this new role, Deputy Director of Constituent Services, I was tasked with running his Westchester portion of the district, which basically was comprised of about 500,000 people. And what I did day in and day out was to work on constituent casework. So our seniors would come in and would say, hey, Ty, I'm having a Medicare issue, a Medicaid issue, a Social Security issue. Can you help me? I would pick up the phone call. I would write letters. I would sometimes go to those offices to get the resources and the benefits that our seniors were seeking. I also helped our immigrant population. Again, I'm the son of an immigrant, so that's personal for me. I would help folks fill out their I-485 green card applications, their I-130 petition for relative applications, their N-400 citizenship applications. You wouldn't believe how many people come back and say, thank you so much, Ty. These applications are hundreds of pages long. I was so confused, right? Or sometimes there was a language barrier there. I would sit there and walk them through step by step by step to help people get their citizenship. And it's one of the most fulfilling feelings to see individuals out and about after they became official U.S. citizens and got sworn in. So, and you know, we worked on other things, IRS issues. We've helped small businesses. We helped with post office cases, veterans, military. So no issue was too small or too big. And I saw that, hey, I actually have an opportunity to make a real impact in people's lives in a real way. Wow. This is what I was looking for the whole time.
Right.
Why? If someone calls me and says my street needs, or whatever the concern is, I'm in a position to make a phone call, to send an email, to pop up somewhere and make that change a reality for that constituent. And so I said, wow, I love this. I love serving the people. And outside of the congressman's office, I also serve as the second vice president of the Mount Vernon NAACP, the oldest criminal justice organization in the country. It was an honor to do that. I serve as a board member to the Community Service Associate Soup Kitchen, right? Public service. And also the Shamoya McKenzie Foundation. You know, R.I.P. Shamoya, one of the city's brightest stars. And so even now as county legislator, I'm directing funding to those type of foundations to give scholarships and to keep kids off the street and to invest in their futures. So just to wrap up, that's kind of the story there at the congressman's office, and then I'm here now. So
yeah, and I you know, I always look forward to when we had our events, whether it was in the golf outing or
yes, sir.
it was you know, the gala at the Boys and Girls Club, and you would, you know, if he didn't, Elliot Engel didn't show up, he'd send you. I was like, okay, great. You know,
yeah, I mean, you know, the congressman, he was a very senior member of Congress. He was a chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. So there was a lot of legislative work that he had to do down in D.C. And it really felt good that he would say, you know what, I trust you to represent me throughout the district while I'm handling business down in D.C. So yeah, I those are some of the best events out in Northville on Davenport. I remember we had JB Smooth there one year. We saw John Starks. It was a great event.
Yeah.
Always.
And you know, the other thing is too, you know, with your you know, particular situation, man, is to be involved with people's lives. I mean,
yes, sir.
To build relationships is so important. And I want to say I appreciate you for you know, what you're doing. And I was inspired. I mean, to see a young person, you know, dedicated to not so much, like you said, not so much the politics, right?
The public service.
But
yes,
the service is more important than anything else. I mean, it's about serving people, and
yes,
you know, that's and I was excited about that, to see your passion for it, you know, your love for it. And then I mentioned earlier the word of the week, your dedication.
Yes, sir.
You know, for that. And so I do appreciate that. And
just to interject real quick, I mean, I appreciate it, but I thank you for being who you are, right? I'm a product of the Boys and Girls Club, right? And I'm so honored to be in a position now where I can direct funding to help the next generation and help you, help Mel Campos, help Tracy Alexander, help the whole team over there, creating a safe environment for our youth. And
yeah, we're gonna work through the difficulties. No
thank
problem.
you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I want to say this too. You know, you've been, I hope you guys have been listening. And if you have any comments or any questions, I mean, shoot them. We can see them at the bottom of the screen, and we'll answer those questions. And if you have, especially for Tyrae, if you got some questions for him, definitely shoot him some questions. And I want to say you've been dropping some dimes, or old guys say nuggets. You had an old spirit. You said earlier, you said nuggets, right? So you got any dime? You're dropping some dimes and some nuggets. I want to drop a dime and a nugget on what Tyrae just said, because many of us don't want to go through process. There's a process, right? We want to be county legislator. You know, we want to be an NBA player, but we don't want to go through the process. I mean, Tyrae was just talking about the process that he went through. You know, the time that from education, you know, to finding out your niche and then going through the process. And sometimes it's tedious. Sometimes it's not fun, you know, and
that's where the faith kicks in.
That's right. That's where the faith kicks in. And you know what? And you got to be, you know, you got to be patient.
Yes, sir.
You know, and the other thing I like what you said was the mentoring, you know, the learning from as you were going along and learning the things, the process and learning those things so that you could become a better you. And I think that's very powerful. And mentioning the Boys and Girls Club, I do appreciate you, you know, because every club member that comes out and finds their niche and finds their sphere of influence, you know, it highlights the importance and power of the Boys and Girls Clubs and organizations like YCOP, YMCAs, Cub Scouts, you know, Boy Scouts, all, you know, Girl Scouts, all those. It highlights how important these youth organizations and agencies are. Recreation Department,
Youth Bureau, so many.
Yeah, I mean, just so many of them. You know, so I want to say, yeah, that's awesome, man. And you know, and we do need, you know, more young people, you know, to see you, you know, to see your progress, and you know, don't think it as a number. Too young, right? You're never too young to get into the business or to the sphere of politics, right?
Never.
And I think that you got the right mindset. Remember I was saying earlier, mindset. You have the right mindset for it, and you know, and I'm just gonna be praying for you.
I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, I need all the prayers I can get. It's the final stretch in this wonderful city of Mount Vernon, but we know how politics can get. But again, I have complete faith in whatever the outcome is, that everything will work out. Look, title, no title, county legislator, no county legislator. I've been a public servant. I'm always going to be a public servant, right? So that's never going to change. But I do think, did I go out there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Sometimes you freeze a little bit, but keep talking.
Okay, awesome. Okay, no problem. So we go back to history, right? And we understand what the city of Mount Vernon is, and we study Tulsa, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street, and getting back to those days as a community. And Mount Vernon is an interesting fact about the city. We're the only majority Black municipality above the Mason-Dixon line, right? Now, we have over 98 ethnicities, and our diversity is a strength, of course, but we're unique in the sense that we are a majority Black municipality and the only one in the county. And so I feel that if we have the right leadership in place, no matter your age, no matter your background, whatever that is, right? Identity politics, people with the right mindset, as you mentioned, Lowe's, are in position, and they have emotional intelligence, and they have a vision for the future, and they know how to work well with others. We can get some very, very great things done in this city, and we can move the city forward. And then we can leave a foundation for the 33% of the city that is categorized as youth, right? We can leave them a foundation to continue the process. We pass them the baton, and they take it to the next level. So going back to, again, being too young, again, I understand I may not know everything, and I may not have the most experience, but my mindset is always, The only thing I know is that I don't know everything. And so if you're willing to take me under the wing to impart some nuggets, right, or some wisdom to me, I'm all ears, right? And then I want to be in a position to, in however long that is, to be able to pass the baton to the next Tyrae or the next whoever young person coming up, so they can take it to a different level. Because I tell people this all the time, and I was actually talking to a good friend of mine, Gerald Dennis. Gerald Dennis runs NSSA STEM Academy in the city of Mount Vernon. The STEM Academy, they're focusing on teaching the youth about coding, about technology, about artificial intelligence, about nanotechnology, about biotechnology, right? They're getting them ready for the future, because the fact of the matter is the economy that I'm in, the economy that you was in, Lowe's, right? The economy of the past is no more. My children and my grandchildren will be competing against artificial intelligence and robots. So that means that we need to start preparing the youth to be competitive in the workforce and in the economy of the future, right? And so I think it's imperative to have leaders who have these things in mind as they create legislation, as they create programs and initiatives. We need to keep these things in mind so that
Yeah, we having a little tech. This is a great conversation, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And so when Tyrae comes back in, we're going to continue with it. And I just think it's an awesome conversation, and the conversations that needed to be had. You know, and so let me.
yes, sir.
You're going to be the first as we start this new season of the Blueprint. You're going to be the first to have what I consider is a curiosity conversation. Right. And so you heard me mention earlier a book by my good friend True Pettigrew, right? Millennial Reveal.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
The 7 biggest millennial expectations of themselves and your organization. And so I happen to let me see if I can get it here real quick. I happen to take a snapshot of those 7. He said the biggest expectations of millennials, because I think, recently there was a conversation on Facebook in regards to the faith-based and churches, religion, faith-based, and I think there was a little animosity between some older pastors or older ministries, traditional ministries, and some of the new ministries that are happening here within the city of Mount Vernon, and they were going back and forth, and it's the understanding of millennials, or whatever we consider Generation X, or we are baby boomers back in the day, and we weren't understood either, and now, his book, and I implore you to get the book.
Absolutely.
And 7 biggest expectations of millennials. And it says those 7 expectations, also known as the 7 C's, are as follows: confidence. And maybe you could tell me whether this is, being a millennial, whether this you agree or disagree. But it says confidence, convenience, connections, control, customization, collaboration, and community.
I think those are on the money, and we know that 7 is a sacred number. So I think he was intelligent in formulating that list that way. But yeah, absolutely. I think with my generation and everyone younger, we kind of have this microwavable need, right? We want instant gratification sometimes, and again, that can push innovation and help with collaboration, help with convenience and help with some of those other seeds. But in the same breath, it could be a con, right? Because we become impatient. So there's a balance that you have to find, and I think that.
Yeah, we're having a little technical difficulty here, but and we're gonna get through this.
Let me know if y'all can hear me, y'all.
Okay, yeah, start it. Yeah, keep rolling. We can hear you.
Yeah, so yeah, that's basically it. I think those are accurate characteristics or attributes of millennials, right?
Mm-hmm.
But funny enough, going back to your conversation about the juxtaposition between the old guard in the churches and some of the young folks, that's interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic, and I think history repeats itself and history rhymes. And as you said, you experienced this as well coming up, and so we're kind of having that same discussion in our community as well. And I think we need people who are bridge builders because both sides have merit, right? I'm not somebody who you have to pick the side. Everything is black and white. No, things are much more complex and complicated than just A or B in real life. And so I think we need to start doing it well. And I know you're helping with this by having a platform like this, but we need to continue to have dialogue and actually listen to understand versus listening to respond. We have to really hear each other and really understand. Okay, look, let me hear what you have to say because you have been through what I'm going through now. So if I'm an intelligent person, whether if I agree with you 100% or not, I'm still going to hear you out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with young people, sometimes we're just so impatient. We're like, nah, you don't get it. Whatever. I'm going 1,000 miles a minute, right? So that can be refined and fixed on our end. We need to do that. And also with the other side now, with the older generation, sometimes we're kind of looked down upon by the older generation, like you don't know what you're talking about. And so that needs to be worked out on as well. And again, we need our churches on one accord with the city, with the constituents, with the residents, because the church, especially in the Black community, plays a major role in crafting the moral fabric, crafting the culture, crafting our city, right? It plays a major role. So we need to get that together 100%. I didn't see that Facebook dialogue, but I'll be scrolling looking for it later, trying to learn.
Yeah, we also have to remember when you look back in history, Malcolm X, Dr. King, man, they were young guys. They were young men going through a process, coming out of college, getting a college degree. Not Malcolm, self-taught, but he was a young man, and he was fighting for those social justice issues as we are today. And they were young men.
Yes, sir.
And they had large followings. I mean, the Black Panther movement. I knew some. I didn't. I knew of some guys that played on my Run High School basketball team back in the day, and I was just a young fella, and I didn't know what Black Panther was. At that time, and so there were young people who all over the United States who were fighting for their causes. Right. It wasn't just us. It was rebellion. Young people were rebellion against, old timers in the past before, and you got the whole hippie generation, free love, free sex. They were rebelling too.
Right.
And so, so the question is, how do we build this relationship, and how do we find the balance? Because there is a need, right, for both.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, look, first and foremost, going back to mindset, I'm a pragmatist by nature, right? And so I understand we're never going to have utopia. We're never going to have every single individual on the same accord, and it is what it is. Some people, that's just what it is. But I think those of us who have platforms, who are in leadership positions, we need to lead that effort and explain to people that there are points, good points being made on both sides, that there are merits on both sides, and that we need to come together to figure out the answer. And we can only craft that answer together, because if not, we're going to continue to see both sides ignoring each other and more division, more infighting, and that only hurts the collective. Benefits the few, but it hurts the collective. We're community oriented, so we need to have the community on one accord, and that means the churches, the leaders, etc. We need everybody on the same timing. So it's not an easy fix. It's not an easy solution. But again, everything starts with conversations. Everything starts with a conversation. Everything is relationships, and everything is about respect. We have to have respect for one another, right? You have to respect your elders, and the elders have to respect the young people. That's just what the facts are. And right now, I don't see too much out, extreme disrespect, but we could be a bit better in the city, I will say, because we're a small community and everybody knows everybody. So we got to get it together, and I want to be a part of that solution.
Oh yeah. And so what is, you, as you look at the county of Westchester and you look at the city of Mount Vernon, what's your vision? What do you envision in this process, and for both Mount Vernon and Westchester?
Well, Westchester, I wanted to continue to be more of a progressive county, right? This is one of the wealthiest counties in the country, not just New York State, but in the country. And so we have resources at our disposal, and I'm just getting started, right? Back in this past budget season, I brought in over $3 million for the city, some of which including the Boys and Girls Club and other organizations, as you mentioned before. But I want to make sure that the county is doing all it can to continue to be a progressive leader nationally and statewide, and to continue to invest in had a supermajority on the board of legislators. We had individuals who didn't believe in investing in a city like Mount Vernon. Now we have people up there that do believe that the city of Mount Vernon should get the resources and the dollars it deserves, and I'm one of those individuals. And so my vision for Westchester County is to continue to up the ante and to invest more, not less, but more into the city of Mount Vernon. That's one. Two, with the city of Mount Vernon now, we need a complete rebranding. Like we need to just rebrand the city. We need to get back, or what I say is rebrand is we need to get back to money earning Mount Vernon. We need to get back to that mantra where people from all the boroughs, folks from Jersey, from Connecticut, from upstate would drive to Mount Vernon to shop and spend money in Mount Vernon. We need to get back to that, right? We need to get back to being a community again and stop operating in silos and cliques and whatnot. Because ultimately, the city is just comprised of a bunch of families. Like that's all it is. We're just a bunch of families, and all together we are one family, right? We need to come together, figure out what we want, work in unison to get there. And so my vision is to invest into the community, but I think I'm a big proponent in economic development. So I know you gave your book of the week. My book of the week, Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics. I'm going to say that again for the people out there. Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics. He talks about ownership, LLCs, right? Limited liability companies, MWBEs, right? We need to own our communities. We need to operate our communities. We need to open up businesses, more businesses in our community. Now, I understand that that's very difficult because we have a bad rap. We have a bad reputation. And so sometimes people will say, why would I invest money in a city like Mount Vernon where, you know, there are shootings and there's crime and there's grime when I can go somewhere else and get more bang for my buck? And so I think we need, the first and foremost thing is, yeah, there are infrastructure things we need to focus on, like the sewers and Memorial Field and 4th Street Park, and that's going to get done. But as a community, we need to just rebrand it. This is a business. This is a corporation. As a city, we need to conduct ourselves as such. And so that starts with cleaning up the crime and the grime so we can increase our commercial tax base, which will alleviate the tax burden on the homeowners. Because the city of Mount Vernon, we pay a lot in taxes. And I'll tell you, if you poll residents out there, 99% will tell you they're not getting the ROI for their tax dollars as far as services from the government. And so we need to focus on growing our commercial tax base. We need to focus on economic development, right? And we need to focus on supporting our small business owners. Sure, we want to have a few big names, you know, the Starbucks, the Panera Breads, all of that, of course. But America, not just Mount Vernon, not just New York State, but America was built on the back of small businesses, of working class people. And so we need to focus on helping them get out of this pandemic, and not only getting out the pandemic, but thriving from here. Right. So I'm working still. I have a lot of contacts still from my years in the federal government, in the Biden administration. I'm in constant talks with them. I'm in constant talks with Cuomo's office as well, because we have to keep a line of communication open, and relationships are everything, to make sure that we're not missing any opportunity to secure more money and more resources for the city. So again, just to wrap up, to make that more concise, economic empowerment, economic empowerment, economic empowerment, economic empowerment. That's what I want to focus on for the city of Mount Vernon. That means less taxes and a less tax burden for our residents. That means more jobs, because some of these young black brothers that's on the South Side, right? You can say what you want to them. You can talk at them. They're not going to listen to you because you're not talking about the bag. That's what we say in my community when we talk about economic development. The bag. You got to talk to them about the bag. You have to talk to them about respectable jobs where they have pride going to work, and that they can bring the bacon home to their families and be, you know, upstanding men. Look, I worked hard today. I brought back the bacon to the wife and kids. I feel good about myself, right? We need to bring those jobs back. And again, this is why, real quick, I'm a big fan of MGM coming to Yonkers.
Right.
People may have their own opinions about gambling, and that's an entirely different conversation. But at the end of the day, that can serve as an economic engine, not just for Yonkers, but the entire area, the entire region. That's thousands of jobs, tens of millions of dollars in revenue circulating in our local economy. We need to get back to that.
Yeah, and it was interesting the other day. I'm part of a little group of men who they're Christian men, and it so happened that in that group is a number of young men and older men, and including guys like Allen Houston and John Stocks and a couple of other guys. And one of the young guys, man, he called me the other day, man. I didn't even remember, because it's been since the pandemic. It's been a long time since we got together. And he said, "Hey, man, this is Trevor, man. And I'm coming up to Mount Vernon because my father opened up a boutique in Mount Vernon." Wow. Right. And I'm just saying, like where in Mount Vernon? He said, "I want you to run over and check it out." So he said on 4th Avenue. And I was like, 4th Avenue, where is it? Is it closer to 1st Street or
wait, what are we talking about? Right.
Like that. And he said, I think it's closer to 3rd Street. I was like, what? But I was thinking, like, man, wow. Yeah. But yet earlier I was talking about the seed. Right. I was talking about this, when I throw the little basketball, that's my seed. You're throwing it in the pond. It's a ripple effect.
Yes, sir.
right? And as I was driving to, up Third Street, and I wasn't driving up Third Street. I came down, I think it was Second Avenue, and I was coming up, the Butterfly
Boutique. Okay.
Boutique. Yeah, so I know the son of the father. Yeah, I know the son of the father. So as I'm driving up Fourth Avenue, and I looked over and I seen Floyd and his wife. That's our good mayor that gave us that information. The
shout out to our mayor.
Boutique. Yeah. Shout out to the mayor. And I was driving up, and I start to think on that block, right? Is Floyd and his wife had Floyd Myers and his wife had the interior design. I said, "There's a seed," right? And then I remember the art bar, right? I remember the sign, and I was just having a visual effect of how productive that part of Fourth Avenue was when I grew up, right? And I can envision that could be again.
Yes.
And I got out my car. I parked right across the street. I don't know if you remember John Boggins, but
no. I've heard about it though. I've heard.
It's that little alley on Fourth Avenue, right?
Yeah.
That little alley, and so when I got out, right, and when I got out the car, I didn't have my mask, so I was putting on my mask. And the brother was like, "Yo, Lowe's, what's up, man?" And he was like, he started like giving me like a shout out, man. He's like, "Yo, man, there's a pro basketball player out here, man. Come with me down this alley." I said, "Look, brother, I ain't going down the alley."
Right. I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't doing that.
But as I was driving up, and I saw the Butterfly Boutique, and they came out to greet me, right? I saw a vision, of like my man invested a lot of resources.
Yes, sir.
To open up the Butterfly Boutique. And as he walked me in and walked me through, right, I just had a change in my spirit. Right. And so many people were greeting me. "Hey, Lowe's, what's up, man? What's going on, man?" Like that. And I'm like, hey, like, and I'm thinking like he put it here, like it's a seed. Right. And then I went to yesterday. I was in Bay Plaza. I was asked to come up. It was a ribbon cutting for a thorough dynamic facility, workout rehab facility.
Wow.
In the Bronx in Bay Plaza. And I spoke over there at the ribbon cutting along with a number of other people. I got myself on the little machines and stuff like that. And the person said to me, "Do you think there's a place for this in Mount Vernon?" But if I hadn't seen the boutique, right, I would have said, "No, I don't know. I mean, where?" But because I seen the boutique, nothing was off. I believe fertile ground. I believe that Mount Vernon is fertile ground.
This is prime real estate.
It's
prime real estate.
Right. And if you willing to sow that seed, I think there's some within the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a blessing in it.
Absolutely. I talk to small business owners or entrepreneurs or aspiring business owners every day. And what I do is I sell Mount Vernon, the potential of it, right? We're not there yet, but the potential of it. We have 3 Metro North train stations, Mount Vernon East, Mount Vernon West, Fleetwood. That's unheard of. We got the 2 and the 5, Dyer and 241st right there. Unheard of. We have every highway. You can get to JFK, LaGuardia, wherever. So as far as, being a business owner and being centrally located and accessible to folks from everywhere, Mount Vernon is it. And I'm happy you said that about that seed, right? That first seed, that first domino, because you're not the only person who probably felt that way. Others may say, "Wow, okay, this is different. This is a change." And all it takes is one.
That's right.
All it takes is that pioneer, that one person to take the risk, to make that investment. And it's not a small investment. Like you said, this is a risk, a calculated risk. But I think it's a smart one because we have, some leaders that get it. Right now, we're not completely where we need to be, but we're working with something. Yeah. So again, when we look at economics again and group economics and circulating our dollar, right? We got to understand a lot of our expendable dollars right now from Mount Vernon go everywhere else. They go to Ridge Hill, they go to Cross County, they go to Bay Plaza, it goes to New Rock City, right? It goes everywhere else except here, 4th Avenue, Sanford Boulevard, Fleetwood, whatever, right? So once we continue to bring in these type of businesses, the sky is the limit. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is off limits, actually. So I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, and then tonight, you know what I want to do tonight? I want to break the spirit of poverty.
Yes, sir.
And a poverty mentality.
Because, yes,
sir. You know, we will say, right, and I don't believe this. We will say, man, if we put those things here, people are going to tear those things up. And I want to break that spirit of poverty tonight.
Same here. Yeah.
Right. And say that, like, when you put something there, you say to the people, we value you, we appreciate you, and you deserve this. Right. So putting a movie theater in Mount Vernon,
right.
It's going to be a productive thing. It's going to offer opportunities for people. When you put businesses here, it's going to change the. Right. Remember, I said earlier, a new mindset.
A new mindset.
Right? Brings on new results. Right. And so I want to break that spirit right now. You know,
let's break it.
Yeah, man.
Let's break it, because you said it perfectly. The people of Mount Vernon deserve it. They deserve a movie theater, right? Lowe's Moore deserves on his birthday to drive down the block in his own city and watch movies all day on his birthday in Mount Vernon, right?
Right.
You deserve that.
Yeah.
You deserve, you know, like I said, bowling alleys and other recreational, other types of businesses to bring people in. Oh, wow, there's something to do. And also, we need to talk about the walkability factor. The walkability factor, right? We need more restaurants with like outdoor cuisine setups, where as you're walking by, okay, this is nice. This has curb appeal. This is different. Let me try this out, right? People in Mount Vernon deserve that. So yeah. I love the way you put that.
Yeah, and Mount Vernon, you know, I was talking to Andre again. He was at my house. We was having this historical conversation. So I was telling them, like, when you go down 3rd Street, there's a soul food restaurant called King's, right? And you go down, if you keep going down, and there's a gas station on the corner, and I think it's a store across the street from it. There's a factory right next to where the, I think the Chinese food place is. There's a factory right there. There used to be a bowling alley that had 38 lanes in it.
38 lanes.
Yeah, I used to go bowling there. So if it happened in the past, it can happen in the future. Absolutely. You know, I hear Bob Proctor say, if you can think it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Right? Everything starts up here. It's all about your mindset.
And we need to change the frequency in Mount Vernon, and we need to change the vibration.
Yes. Everything is energy.
That's right.
Everything is vibration, and that goes into some, you know, some esoteric stuff and whatnot. But yeah, but we need to do that. And again, accountability from our leaders, because we're leaders for a reason, and people elect us, and we get paid to do a job, and so people trust us to make these things happen for them. And what I can tell you is, though, everyone out there, I'm on the same vibration as you, where I want to see these things manifest. And this is why at the ripe age of 28, I stepped up, I jumped in the deep end, and I said, you know what? One of my favorite quotes, if not us, then who? I want to see these things happen as well. So I want to bring that 38 lanes back. That's incredible. That's almost hard to believe, but wow.
Yeah. Because that's all my brothers in North Carolina doing, bowling.
Yes, that's the bowling leagues. Bowling leagues used to be real big back in the day.
Yeah, definitely
bring that back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no good, so I might have to put the little bumper things up on the side. But I'll still be out there.
Well, I got a few more questions before we get out of here, and then
Oh,
I got a main question. Make sure I ask you that main question before we get off. What was it like to step in or take the place of a legend? I mean, of course, you took the place of Lyndon Williams, and he was I think I got a picture of Lyndon up there. You and Lyndon. What was it like to step in the footsteps of a legend?
It's almost. It was difficult. It's very difficult because Lyndon, as you said, is a giant in Mount Vernon, in the county. He's respected regionally, statewide, everywhere. And so once I got in the role, I just heard, Lyndon this, Lyndon that. And I'm like, wow, like Lyndon is really, I respected him as an individual, but I'm like, wow, like his impact was really tremendous. And it was a lot. It was a lot, but again, he helped guide me in ways that he could, right? He is a judge, but he helped to give direction when he could and where he could. And it's been a tremendous experience. It's honestly been a tremendous experience. I have a model and a template to work from now, right? Luckily I didn't have like a Trump-like figure before me where I got to come in and clean up all the pieces and start from zero. Like, no, Lyndon set that foundation like I spoke about before, where he started the race. He handed the baton off in first, and it's my job to continue the race and hand the baton off in first. So Lyndon set the bar, and I'm going to do all I can to set the next bar and to continue the work that he has done. So I have nothing but respect for Lyndon. I love Lyndon, and we're so lucky to have him now as a city court judge in the city of Mount Vernon.
Yeah. I think we had a picture of you and Lyndon. They showed you a picture with you and Mariano
Rivera, yeah.
Mariano Rivera, and yeah, there goes Lyndon.
There you go, right there. Yep.
You guys in the green screen.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, Lyndon is the man. Lyndon is the man. I got some big shoes to fill, but like Michael Jordan, I'm gonna try to put some salt in my shoes to see if I could, grow the size.
I like that. And so I got two, well, actually three questions right in the middle. I'm gonna ask my real good question. Who is the person that most impacted you outside of a family member?
Outside of a family member, I would say I can't name one, but I would say my coaches. All of my coaches. Now I'll name a few. I got, the Coach Darloses, the Coach Max, Coach Ty, Coach Petrillos, the Coach Vicks. My coaches, and again, I had my father, I had my grandfather, so that wasn't an issue. But just to have them, show up for me consistently, not just on the field, but off the field as well. Touching base, making sure I'm good, giving me a phone call, making sure I'm still handling what I have to handle outside of the lines. Because I think that's what great coaches do. They don't just push you to become the best player. They push you to become the best person possible, right? Because as a coach, you have to prepare your players. Everyone's not going to go to the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, whatever it is. And so you have to make sure you're raising upright men and women to be productive members of society once they're done. And so, again, I would just have to shout out my coaches. I'm sure you could say the same thing about your coaches during your playing days. They've had a tremendous impact on me and who I've become. So shout out to y'all, coaches.
Okay. Yeah, shout out to the coaches. Yeah, I've had some very good ones.
Shout out to the coaches.
Yeah, and so
absolutely.
Before I ask my last question, I got well, I don't know if it's a question so much, but I do need help. It's a help question. I do need help in, I don't know if you got a chance, I got to get you one of my books, man. I don't know if you read my book, but, one of the obstacles in my book from the book, Boys and Girls Club to the NBA, Life on the Narrow Road, my passion, all my obstacle and my challenge growing up was reading and reading comprehension and dealing with illiteracy. And, I wouldn't have been able to move on had it not been for those coaches and teachers that supported me. And, my desire to want to be a successful basketball player, I had to learn how to read.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
And I think is so critical today that we deal with the issue of literacy.
Yes, sir.
Or illiteracy, so into literacy. And whatever you could do, I'd like to talk to you about being able to with one of my men's group, the King Movement. We're trying to do a combating the literacy campaign and trying to get books out to kids, as we walk in the street and stuff like that. And we want to really fight this battle and get this awareness of this issue out. We think will solve a lot of problems. So you think about it and let me know. Right?
Absolutely.
And in these final minutes, I want to find out. I want you to talk to the young people. I mean, I want you to give a message that would impact young people as we come to a close.
Well, young people out there, my message is clear. Whatever you want to do, there's no silver bullet. There's no secret sauce. There's no formula. And going back to the literacy piece, when you read books from some of the greats and whatever field you're in and you want to pursue, you'll realize, sure, they may have had a particular innate talent, right? They may have been naturally gifted or whatever. They may have had an opportunity, but the constant variable, the constant similarity between all of them is hard work and going through the process. That's it. Like people, sometimes people may look for shortcuts or look for a way for instant gratification. You have to delay gratification. One of my favorite stories is from Les Brown. Les Brown, and anyone out there, you can YouTube this. Type in Les Brown, the Chinese bamboo tree. And in the Chinese bamboo tree story, Les Brown talks about in order to make the Chinese bamboo tree actually crack its shell and break ground, you have to water it every single day for 5 years. If you miss one day, the seed shrivels up and dies in the ground, right? So you have to water it every day, 5 years, 365 times. 365 days, 5 times. But what's interesting though is that in that 5th year, once it breaks ground, it grows 90 feet in 90 days. So the question is, did it take 90 days or 5 years? It took 5 years to have the ability to grow 90 feet. So young people, you're going to come across obstacles. Trust me, I've faced them. You're going to fail. You're going to stumble. You're going to scrape your knee. But what I can tell you is, in order to become an expert, you have to be willing to be a fool first. You have to be willing to humble yourself, ask a question, and realize your shortcomings and refine them. And steel sharpens steel, right? So actually, I want to actually calculate this. You are the sum total of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. So as a young person, you may have friends that you've grown up with, that you kick it with, that you party with. But when you get serious about what you want to do and succeeding in your field, you got to make some very tough choices. It's not going to be easy. But again, you are the sum total of those people that you spend the most time with, right? That you talk. Are your friends talking about, what books they're reading, what investments they're making, what seminars and expos they're going to? Or are they talking about other things? And there's nothing wrong with other things as long as you have your priorities straight. And so again, your mentors, who you surround yourself with, And like you said earlier, Lowe's, you got to be patient. You got to be dedicated. Remember the Chinese bamboo tree. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. And can you give us that book again? What's the title? And
It's called Powernomics
Power
by Dr. Claude Anderson. Yes, sir.
Dr. Claude Anderson.
Yeah, let me. I'll put it in the chat. Let me see. Anderson and Powernomics. Great book. I would also encourage people to read, the basics. Think and Grow Rich. How to Win Friends and Influence People. The Richest Man in Babylon. Right?
Yeah.
Giving you jewels right here. I'm telling y'all, you got to go pick these books up.
Build your library.
I'm building my library right now. So when I get my whatever and I retire and I pass the baton to the next young up and coming whoever, I'll sit back and I'll read my library. And so I hope you do the same, y'all.
So Tyrae, I want to say thank you, man. This was awesome. We got it up on the screen there. This was awesome, man. I do appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule, man. Be praying for you.
Thank you.
I'm going to pray for blessings. I'm not going to say luck.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, blessed to be a blessing, man. And as you come up with this, I don't see it as a challenge, but hey, get it done, and once you cross over, hey, maybe we have another conversation.
Look, we got a lot to work on. Let's make that literacy piece happen. I'm ready to work.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for your support of the BluePrint podcast. I want to thank my guest tonight, Tyrae Woodson-Samuels. Hey, be on the lookout for him. I'm not on the rise. He's risen, and I'm excited for him. And I'm looking forward to next week. It's Father's Day weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. Hopefully, with Reggie Tuggle and A Journey Through Grace and Tony Burton. I'm excited for next week for Father's Day. I'm excited for all Father's Days, for all fathers on Father's Day. Be blessed. Man, I love you guys, and have a great week.
Thank you again. Take care, my brother.
You will. Take care, Tyrae.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the BluePrint podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.